Hello sweet friends, Kelsey here from Seed and Sparrow Homestead. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to bring you all along for a bit of a day in the life of a homemaker, homesteader, and mama of two. Give you a little sneak peek of what I fill my days with. We're going to be in the kitchen and around the house and working outside in the garden. So sit back and relax, grab a cup of coffee or tea, and spend the day with me. Starting off our day the right way this morning with a hearty breakfast. I cooked up some bacon, and as you saw, we have an abundance of eggs. The ladies have not been disappointing at all this winter. We've had so many eggs, and we are very thankful for that. So I chose a recipe this morning that would use up quite a few of them. It is a fluffy souffle style pancake. My kids love this. They gobble it up every time I make it, and it's really simple. So I'm starting off by separating my egg whites from the yolks. And I will be sure to link all of today's recipes down in the description for you all if you'd like to try them. I am adding in some lemon juice here and getting this over to the mixer and allowing it to get frothy. While that's mixing, we're getting the egg yolk mixture ready. I added in some milk and stirring that up well. Adding in some vanilla. And then a mixture of flour and baking powder. I'm adding that gradually so we don't get any big clumps. Back over at the mixer, I am adding in some granulated sugar, slowly, 1 tablespoon at a time. And then we are going to get this on high speed and wait for stiff peaks to form. I'm going to combine just a little bit of the egg white mixture with the egg yolk mixture, folding that in carefully, trying my best not to deflate. Once this is all mixed together, I added that to the rest of the egg white mixture and folded that in. Got these spooned into my frying pan, which is heated over low heat. We are going to cover these and allow them to cook for about 7 minutes on each side. They turn out so fluffy, the texture is awesome, and the flavor is so good. I hope you all try them, and I hope you enjoy them as much as we do. It is supposed to be absolutely beautiful today, so I want to get everything done inside as quickly as possible so that we can get outside and spend the majority of the day out there. So I'm getting all of my dishes done, getting the kitchen cleaned up. We have been cooped up inside for what seems like forever. It has either been overcast, rainy, or really cold, and getting outside today in the sunlight in the garden is going to do us so much good. So dishes are done. Moving on to the laundry. This is a daily task. I try to always find ways to save money as much as possible. In the summer, we typically dry our laundry out on the clothesline outside, but of course it is very cold out there and it's not always nice enough, so we purchased an indoor drying rack. And honestly, we hardly ever use our dryer anymore, except for jeans. I refuse to wear crunchy jeans. I really, really despise crunchy jeans. And for our towels, I like soft towels when I get out of the shower. Call me high maintenance, but it is what it is, and I will forever be drying towels and jeans in the dryer. Moving on to checking the plant babies. I was so excited to see that there is life. I have some basil popping up, a few different varieties. As well as some of my onions. And over here, there's teeny tiny little chamomile seedlings, as well as some lemongrass. So I'm going to get these all watered and move on to my next task. I love this little watering head attachment. You can put it on any bottle that you have. It's nice because it does this very gentle stream, so things don't get drowned and seeds don't get pushed out of your soil. So moving on to the next task, I am going to be freeze drying a whole bunch of bananas. I found these boxes at a local place. It was $2 for 10 pounds, so $2 a box. So I have 2 boxes worth that I'm going to be running through the freeze dryer. My kids love these as snacks. I think I am going to do 1 box for more fresh eating, keep in a mason jar, and then the other box I'm going to store in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and keep them for long-term storage. These are going to take a day or more to be ready in the freeze dryer. I will see if they are done before I upload this video, and if they are, I will show you what they look like at the end. The last thing I want to do before heading outside is getting our lunch ready. This is a soup that is my husband's favorite. He would honestly eat it every week. So first I am browning up a pound of hot Italian sausage. Once that was all browned up, I added in 4 cups of chicken bone broth. To that, I am adding 1 jar of my home canned potatoes. One can of cannellini beans. Gonna bring this up to a boil, and then I turn it down to simmer for a good long while. Allow all of those flavors to combine. I added in just a little bit of salt. And then I had freeze dried some of the kale from my garden last year, and I just added that in. So I'm gonna allow that to cook for a little bit. The kale needs to rehydrate. Turning down the heat before adding in some heavy cream. I add in about 1 cup. So that's it. It's a super easy soup to make. Usually I have all of these ingredients on hand, so if I'm ever in a pinch for time, this is usually my go-to, and I always serve it with some bacon crumbled on top.
Do you want to go outside?
Yeah.
Do you have your shoes?
Cheese.
We were greeted by the most beautiful, clear blue skies. The sun was shining, and you know when you've just been craving the sunlight, and that feeling you get the minute it hits your skin, it was wonderful. However, this warm weather, while welcomed, is a little bit concerning. We are still in winter, but things are springing to life, and we've got some cold snaps coming, so I'm going to need to keep a close eye on them, make sure if things are budding up and starting to flower, I protect them the best that I can. Otherwise, we might be losing out on a big harvest.
Yeah. Will be. No. I'm flying this dirt down.
This is the project I came out here for. This disaster of a greenhouse. This is what happens when it is the end of a season and you just want to be done with things and they just get thrown somewhere, and the greenhouse was their landing place. So today I'm working on getting this all cleared out, throwing things away, better organizing so that I can actually use this space. So these are cayenne pepper plants that I had just pulled and left to dry in the greenhouse because I didn't know what to do with them. I had planted 3 and I realized I don't need 3. I only need 1 for my purposes. So unfortunately, these did not get used. And these, I don't even know if you can tell, were leftover seed potatoes that I had intended on planting, but they got buried amongst other things and forgotten about. So they have seen better days, but they will be going to the compost pile. Gardening and working with my hands outside brings me so much peace. It quiets the noise of this tumultuous, chaotic, at times completely unsettling and anxiety-inducing world that we are living in right now. It is a place where I feel close to God and get to tend to His creation. I spend much of my time in the garden, in conversation with the Lord. And there is something so therapeutic and comforting about nurturing and growing things. You are forced to slow down. Gardens and growing take time, and in doing so, you are able to appreciate the beauty that is so often overlooked. Not to mention, I have access to quality organic food right in my backyard. So I encourage you, if you are not already, plant something, anything, some flowers, herbs, a tomato plant, something that you can nurture and tend to and watch grow this coming season. And maybe you'll find some peace in the garden too.
Look at that. Is he cute?
What'd you find? A worm.
Yeah, look at that guy. You have to hold them very gentle so they don't, like,
Get hurt.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, it's time to get dinner ready. So I am spatchcocking a chicken. I know it's a very strange word if you've never heard it before, which basically means I am cutting out the backbone. I do this to all of our whole birds. I always cut out the backbone and then butterfly the bird. It allows the chicken to cook more evenly and it cooks faster. And because the heat is able to get all around the bird, it kind of locks in moisture and flavor, I think, better. So I will always do this, and then I will save the backbone and I will put them all into a bag and I will use it for bone broth later on. So this recipe is actually an Indian dish. I am not using all of the spices because I don't have them all on hand, but I am making do with what I do have. So for the rub for the chicken, this is Greek yogurt with some lemon juice and then an array of spices. I'm using turmeric, garlic, ginger, chili powder, cayenne powder, cinnamon, and cumin. And then I'm going to chop up some fresh cilantro as well. Adding this into our Greek yogurt and spices, mixing that all together, and then we are going to rub this all over the chicken. Transferring the chicken to a baking rack on top of a cookie sheet. We're gonna get this in the oven and cook for about an hour and 20 minutes until the internal temperature comes to 165 degrees. I'm gonna work on the sauce that goes with this dish. It is just some diced cucumbers mixed with some more Greek yogurt and some cumin. I'm gonna mix that all together and get that in the fridge until we are ready to eat later tonight. Now we are going to work on some naan bread. This is just flour, Greek yogurt, salt, and baking powder. I'm gonna work on getting each flatbread rolled out fairly thin. They go into a frying pan for about 45 seconds per side over about medium heat until you see nice bubbles form and each side is golden brown. As each one comes out of the pan, I brush them with butter. You can sprinkle some garlic powder, some fresh parsley if you desire. Our chicken is showing over 165 degrees, so we're gonna get this out of the oven, and I'm going to let it rest for at least 10 to 15 minutes before I slice into it. You can see just how juicy this chicken is. So I served the chicken with my naan bread, a scoop of rice, and some of the cucumber and yogurt dip that we made. So this particular evening, I decided to undertake wallpapering this wall. We have lived in this home for 8 years, and when we moved in, we were newly married. We didn't have a lot. We purchased things that were within our budget. We used things that were given to us, and everything has just become kind of eclectic. Nothing really the way we would want it. And over the years, lots of things have just prevented us from making it how we want it, whether that be finances or time, having children. And once we decided we were going to live this homesteader life, we got into the mindset that this is not our forever home. We greatly desire more land, so we didn't want to invest a whole lot of our time and money into a space that we were not going to be staying in for the long term. However, we don't know when that's going to happen or even if it's going to happen, and rather than wait around and never truly love the space that we are in, I have just decided that as I have time and we have the finances, I am going to slowly work on transforming each space. Now, I love anything old-fashioned. I love antiques. I love character, and I'm really drawn to like Victorian farmhouse, English country cottage. So that is the look I am going for. So tonight is the night it all starts. I am clearing out this space and wiping down this wall. The inspiration from which I got this idea was actually from Lisa over at Farmhouse on Boone. She used this exact wallpaper in her home and I fell in love with it. So I did some searching and I found it online. So this is tonight's project. Now, I will say, looking back, this was a very poor decision. It had already been a long day and I was getting tired. I had 2 little ones who were also getting tired and who wanted to quote unquote help. And let me tell you, about 10 minutes in, Mama was already super sweaty and flustered. My husband was actually at work this evening. He works a second job 2 nights out of the week. And I had no help. It got done, but it made me question ever doing something like this again. So if you are a mama of little ones and you have some house projects you want to do and they are time sensitive like this one, I would suggest doing it during nap time or when you have some help. Now, I had every intention of capturing more of this process, but like I said, I was getting flustered, so the camera got turned off. This is the finished look, and we all really love it. It really captures the look that I was going for, and now that this wall is done, I am going to continue to make this space how I've always wanted it to be, one step at a time, using this as my inspiration. I have some plans to make some bookshelves for each side of the mantle. I'd like to get some wall sconces, and I have a rug on order, so I'm excited to see all of this come together. I want to thank you all so much for coming along with me today. I hope you enjoyed spending the day with me. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these types of videos, a day in the life, what we are up to, as well as if you'd like to see any of the house projects I'm going to be working on. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I will see you next time. Take care.